prejudicial grounds, you're really doing them a wrong. There are two kinds of epistemic injustice, depending on whether you're stopping people adding knowledge to the pool or borrowing it. If you stop people adding knowledge to the pool, Fricker calls that testimonial injustice. The example she uses is from another novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, in which the character of Tom Robinson testifies in court that he is innocent of the crime with which he's being charged. But the white jury do not believe him because he is black. Because of their prejudice, the jury stop Tom from adding his knowledge to the collective pool. And in doing so, they kind of objectify him. They downgrade him from human, the kind of thing that can have knowledge, to object, the kind of thing that can't. Testimonial injustice can have nasty side effects, like Tom goes to prison for a crime he didn't commit, but Fricker also says it's just a moral wrong in itself. Often, testimonial injustice involves raising the bar of evidence that we require before we believe someone. Different conversations require different standards of evidence. If you stop me in the street and ask me for directions, you might believe me even if I don't show you a map. But if we're in a courtroom and we're talking about a murder, I might need to provide a little bit more evidence. In Tom Robinson's case, even though he was in a courtroom and the evidence of his innocence was plentiful, the jury requires an even higher standard of evidence and they don't believe him. Another example might be people who say that they are harassed or assaulted, but are not believed on prejudicial grounds. If somebody says that they have been sexually harassed or assaulted, and we, outside of a courtroom, don't believe them, it may be, that we are misjudging the standard of evidence that is really required for that conversation, which might be different depending on the context. Hang on a minute, I think my carrots have overboiled. They look okay to you? Yeah, they look fine. No, carrots are fine. I'm making haggis for Burns night and, I've got carrot and swede mash to go with it. It's going to be really tasty. Anyway, the other kind of epistemic injustice occurs when you stop people borrowing knowledge from the pool, either by cutting off their access to it or by keeping certain kinds of knowledge out of the pool in the first place. Fricker calls this hermeneutical injustice. The injustice of having some significant area of one's social experience obscured from collective understanding owing to a structural identity prejudice in the collective hermeneutic resource. That resource is the knowledge pool that we imagined. It's when you systematically stop a group of people from gaining access to the ideas and the thoughts that they need to understand what happens to them and take control of it. The example Fricker uses is sexual harassment. It might be hard for younger viewers to believe this now, but the term sexual harassment wasn't always in the English language, never mind in the law. But the awful behaviour that these words now describe was very, very real. Fricker tells a story about a woman named Carmita Wood, who was a lab assistant at Cornell University in the 70s, who was so severely sexually harassed by the nuclear physicist Boyce McDaniel that she became physically ill from the stress and the fear and had to leave her job. But when she later came to fill out some forms which asked her why she'd left her previous employer, there was no box, no option to tick that expressed the constant humiliation McDaniel had inflicted. It was only when she went to a lawyer, Lynn Farley, who realised that she and a lot of other women had experienced similar things, that Farley testified in front of the New York City Human Rights Commission on Women and Work and for the first time in public coined the term sexual harassment. Fricker writes, hermeneutical lacunas are like holes in the ozone. It's the people who live under them that get burned. Until Farley's testimony, victims of sexual harassment had no words with which to talk about it. A culture of victim blaming, shaming and misogyny meant that people just didn't talk about that kind of thing. And so the knowledge was kept to individuals and systematically excluded from the pool. So, bringing things back around to 1984, Newspeak is a textbook example of hermeneutical injustice. Its goal is to literally shrink the pool of human knowledge to limit the number of thoughts that people can use to challenge the government and liberate themselves. Its goal is to preserve power. Exploring the hidden ideas behind words like race or gender or justice or democracy, in other words, doing philosophy about these things, has literally the opposite goal. The aim is not to preserve power, but to give people the resources they need to challenge power by expanding concepts, by adding new things to the pool, and by enabling more people to add new things and borrow from it. It's literally the opposite of what happens in 1984. Also, in before everybody who's gonna comment, "You're changing what happened in 1984, it's just like 1984." In this video, we've learned about a very famous dystopian novel, and we've also examined some of the moral questions that arise when we look at knowledge. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a Marxist, feminist, Illuminati brainwashing seminar to go to. They give out free wine. Patreon.com/philosophytube is a double plus good way of making sure I can keep making videos like this one, and also make sure that I can keep affording food. And don't forget to subscribe.